my research, I know that, or I have seen that, the promise that Forex gave to people when it entered Nigeria is not what it is delivering. That promise of financial freedom that it came in with, it's not what it is delivering. So can you help us trace the history of Forex so that we can be able to find out where exactly we fell out?
We are in an industry that is lie oriented. You see, the first people that will go to hell is traders, it's not politicians, because traders are born liars. I'm telling you the truth. Traders are actually, the moment people come into trading and they try it and it's not working, they have to practice and learn how to lie. A lot of people that are watching this need to watch it again, because there are many podcasts that are just there. They are not digging into the real matter. Okay, that is why we need to find out, how do we now know what is working and who to buy from? The track record, the credibility of a product is behind the integrity of who is selling the product.
Okay.
If you cannot be a good judge of integrity and character, you will definitely always buy the wrong stuff.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media.
Yes, so click that follow button. Subscribe to this channel and follow us on all our social media handles.
You are welcome to this particular episode of FX Townhall. Today promises to be very, very interesting because we are going to be talking about a very popular topic in Forex trading, which is robot trading. Today we are going to be demystifying robots. We are going to look at the history of robots in this country, Nigeria, and I remain your host, Mr. Bond. Today with me is Miss Timmy, the Bayelsan goddess of Forex. Yeah, so I usually, anytime I see her, I'm usually happy, because when you see women in Forex, it's usually very, very encouraging.
So thank you very much, Mr. Bond, for that beautiful introduction, the Bayelsa goddess of Forex.
All right, today we are going to be dealing with the topic robot trading in Forex, the myths, the realities, and the future insights. That is the topic we are going to be dealing with today. And to deal with this topic today, we have to go far and wide to bring the best. When it comes to robot trading in Forex, in Nigeria, we had to go bring you the best. So he is an authority in Forex as far as robots are concerned. So you will want to draw close, because I know what he can do. Please help me welcome Sir MJ Young, the CEO of FX Oracle AI. Sir MJ Young have been in the Forex industry, particularly dealing with robots, for over 12 years. So you're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bond. It's nice to be here again. Ms. Timmy, thank you. And Mr. Bond, it's nice to be here in the FX Townhall.
Well, you have been a very vocal voice when it comes to Forex. I know when I met you, I was seated in the crowd and you were on top of the stage doing your thing. I couldn't help but marvel, and I was like, who is this man that understands Forex like this? And not just Forex, you were demystifying what robots can do in Forex trading, and I began to wonder, this man must have come a long way, which is why I decided to go all out to make sure that I bring you to this podcast so that you can share your wealth of knowledge with our viewers and Nigerians as a whole, and even the world at large. So I would like to start with this particular question. Can you help us trace the history of Forex in Nigeria before we even get to the point where we started using robots? Because from what I know, the promise of Forex, or the promise that Forex offers in Nigeria, is not what it is delivering in the present. All of us know that this is, I stand to be corrected anyway. But from my research, I know that, or I have seen that, the promise that Forex gave to people when it entered Nigeria is not what it is delivering. That promise of financial freedom that it came in with, it's not what it is delivering. So can you help us trace the history of Forex so that we can be able to find out where exactly we fell out? Because as a Christian, the scripture will say you should trace your steps and know where you missed your step so that you can align properly. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Okay, thank you so much. The issue of forex trading in Nigeria is a very sensitive issue, and I love to really, really dive into it. Particularly, I tell people when it comes to forex trading in Nigeria, it is important that you understand that your success is not just decided by your willingness, by your interest. Your success is solemnly decided and determined by who introduced you and how you were introduced. Because this space is a very slippery space. And Forex came into Nigeria. And if you want to talk about the activity of Forex in this industry, that's the Forex industry, the activity that went on, you will have to divide it into waves. I call it the 5 waves.
The 5
there
waves.
There were 5 waves in this industry. Wow. Each of these waves is going to characterize the character, the mindset, and this, at the same time, the results.
Okay.
And why some people's journey takes longer than is expected.
So if I understand you clearly, you are saying that as far as Forex in Nigeria is concerned, there are 5 waves.
Yeah.
And how those 5 waves features in the life of a Forex trader in Nigeria will determine how far the Forex trader have gone and the result the Forex trader. Will you be kind enough to share these 5 waves with us?
Okay, I will. Let's look at it. We're just going to talk about maybe 3 because we're talking about the robot. And the third or the fourth will introduce us into the robot trading space.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the first wave that actually swept this country, that came into Nigeria. Remember that forex trading as a whole is an institution. Mm-hmm. And the whole game of forex trading was designed as an institution and for institutional bodies, not necessarily for the retail traders. So you need to understand that when Forex came into this country, we only were trying to mirror what was going on in the European country. So the people who brought it were the first people who laid the wrong foundation. So they came in and introduced what I call the Ponzi scheme wave.
Wow, the Ponzi scheme wave.
Yes, that was the first wave. The first wave that came in the country was not actually for learning, was not for acquiring knowledge to trade yourself. Because the first people that introduced it, their first contact was not with educational institution part of Forex. It was with actually hedge fund managers abroad. So it seems like an investment, something people can actually make money from investing their money. So when they came to the country, they actually look at it, even though they could not actually bring the real stuff, they had to use Forex as the frontier to introduce Ponzi scheme. Wow. Remember, when we talk about the Ponzi scheme wave, here, the Forex industry in its own, I'm talking about the market is not involved. Here, there is no product. Okay. It is all about collecting money from Peter to pay Paul in the name of Forex.
Okay. Wow. This one is deep. So I remember when my first encounter with Forex. Timmy.
Yes.
I was in Lagos. My brother called me from the blues and he was like, there is this new wave of making money and it is called Forex. That I should go and learn. Mm-hmm. I know as at that time, I paid almost 35,000 naira to go and learn Forex. And they gave me one mighty book that was the size of a Bible. Now, Are you saying that those people that came in, what they were selling, there was no product, that it was like, because at the end of the day, just like you said, I didn't actually go home with anything at the end of the day. So those were the first waves, I want to believe, that came in, and they came in with a kind of Ponzi scheme mindset to robbing Peter to pay Paul. Apart from this one, let's assume this is the first wave. How did this first wave enter into the second wave, and what is the second wave?
Okay, Mr. Bond, here is the problem, right? When you are a product of a thing, you become a victor of that thing or a victim of that thing. So the product of the first wave, because Forex
that is we now, the product of the first wave.
Because Forex itself, the Forex market itself was not the product. Remember, today, everything we're going to be talking about, we are going to be looking at whether the market is the main product or something else is the product. Because until you can identify that, you will keep being a victim in your journey, right? Now, remember, the first wave came with unrealistic promises. That is why you discover that there's little success in times of Forex traders in Nigeria. Why? Those people promised, that was where you get to hear about the Wonders Bank issue. Oh, these guys are promising to give you 100%, 50% every month. So when these guys came with this, it was actually a Ponzi scheme system they were running, but they were using Forex as the name to frontier it. So the people, the most common Nigeria who did not know what the Forex market was, saw Forex as a get-rich-quick scheme. That was where that problem started from.
Wow.
And so it is not difficult to address people to make them think that, now to make a common trader think that if you do 2 to 5% monthly, you are one of the top traders in the world. He will not believe. He won't believe, because the mindset that was transferred to him from the beginning, or the people who he even learned from, still transfer even in this time a mindset of get rich quick scheme. So because of that, a lot of people actually have problem to actually resonate with the market and embrace the process. So learning was not the focus. Now, when the Ponzi scheme wave came, after a lot of people have lost money in the name of investment. Remember, this investment was actually taken from Peter to pay Paul. Now, it was not a real thing. Now, some guys now actually came up and said, guys, well, I think this thing is real. Since some guys are really succeeding in Europe, I think we can really go to learn this thing. So the second wave was introduced by guys who were not passionate, who were victim and were not passionate to introduce the real thing. Okay. Those guys actually went to learn. So some of them actually traveled. When they came, and some of them learned from online. And some of them, they just actually stumbled into people who actually do this thing, and they took up from there. Now, when they learned whatever they learned, but it was Forex, they now came and said, oh, wow, people made millions and billions of naira. I'm not talking about the investor, I'm talking about the people who introduced the Ponzi scheme, where there's no product. They said, now that we have learned the main thing, we want to bring up something else. They now call it investment. So that was the emergence of the Forex investment company. Now, this is what I call the second wave. Second wave was a transition, a 50% transition from the Ponzi scheme to what? To an investment wave. This time only that the market was actually the source of the product.
Okay.
Right? But there was no mastery.
Wow.
There was no risk management. The guys who actually manage hedge funds don't see themselves as just traders. They see themselves as risk managers. Okay. So this time around, the guys actually took the money to the market from the public. But and promised people the same thing the Ponzi people promised, because they were finding it difficult to actually correct the mindsets of telling people you can make 10%, you can make 5% a month. So they had to promise 10%. What the Ponzi scheme guys promised, 50, 100%, just to get them in. Yet they had a good product. So when they came in to the market with it, because there was no mastery, they also lost the money to the market.
Wow.
And that led to closure of many a Forex investment company, and that wave began to shake. Now, mind you, this was where people started losing faith in the Forex industry.
You wouldn't, you will not blame people now. You understand? They have followed the first wave. It was a Ponzi scheme. Now another wave came. These ones now, their problem was that it's not like they didn't have the product to sell anymore. The product was there, but they lacked knowledge of the product. And market is, from what I know, if you lack knowledge in Forex industry, you are like fried meat. You are like fried meat waiting to be eaten. And of course, they were eaten.
Yes.
All right, sir. So you were talking about 5 waves. We have only exhausted 2. So can you lead us into the third wave, sir?
Yeah, let's look at the third wave. The third wave came as a result of the investment scheme failing. Now, remember, most of these waves didn't just end. They are a mixture. There's a carryover. The transition went with a carryover
Yes.
into the next
Into
wave,
the next wave, yeah.
right? So every wave is an addition. It's like you're building a house, right? Block on a block, right? To raise up something. So because people have moved from the Ponzi scheme to the investment, so there was a mixture of both the investment wave
And the Ponzi scheme.
the Ponzi scheme wave. So sometimes you can't even differentiate it, right?
It became
Depending
a
on
hybrid.
a hybrid. So now, when the third wave was coming in, the third wave, people began to study the system. And when I said the system, they began to study the first wave and the second wave.
Okay.
And so they look at it and said, okay, wow, what exactly is the problem here? And then they discovered and said, okay, wow, what do we actually do? I think we should begin to look into the issue of robot trading. They felt that most people who were fund managers of the investment company failed as a result of human errors.
Wow.
Much of human intervention. So the idea of robot trading started coming in. If we can automate the system, emotions will not be involved. So that gave birth to the third wave, where robots started coming gradually into the industry to actually manage the fund rather than humans. And that is what is actually bringing us to the topic of today, because robot is the main issue in this industry right now.
Wow. Okay, now that we have arrived at the point where we want to be, we are actually trying to talk about robot, and we have seen the growth from nothing to something without knowledge, now to something which is now the robot. There is actually a growth if you look at the processes that happened. From Ponzi scheme, there was a little correction to a lack of knowledge or to a little knowledge. Immediately after that, we now have something that somebody can say, okay, we are seeing problems and we are solving the problems. Now, most Nigerians are finding it difficult to first and foremost understand the difference between robot and algo trading. Are they the same, or is there any difference between using a robot, the word robot, and algo trading?
Okay, most people have always asked that question. There is a difference, but the difference are not actually something you can really measure, because both are automated.
Okay.
Except that when you come to algo, the algorithm, you have complex and systematized logic that have been automated, and those data are actually quite heavy and complex compared to the normal robot. Okay, so but for me, I would say that it has no side effect on the common trader. So it's not much of something to be bothered about.
Okay, so what is a Forex robot? Let me ask you straight. What is a Forex robot? If we ask you to define what a robot is in Forex trading, how can you define it?
It's simply the process of automating I would say a defined, systematized process.
Wow.
so that it can be able to what? To act without human intervention. Now, in a situation where human need to intervene, or that's where they now call it expert advisor. It can bring up the it can bring up the request and ask you, should I sell or buy? So it become an expert advisor. So an expert advisor is advising the trader. He said, for example, you automate it to say, if this condition and that condition is met, alert me, tell me. So don't enter the trade. So I will need to confirm. So that is an expert advisor. But when it comes to robots, it means that you have gone beyond making it an expert advisor to telling it to take that decision once that conditions are met. That is the simple fact.
So let's address some skepticism and controversies in the market. So one of our viewers, somebody asked, right, if robots are so profitable, why do developers sell them instead of using them?
Amazing.
That's a very, very, very interesting question.
Amazing.
Like, if robots are actually working, why do the developers of these robots,
why are they not using
it? Instead, they are hawking it and they are selling it.
Miss Timmy, thank you so much. Now I need to break a little fresh air so that I can strategically answer you. A lot of people ask me this question in the industry, and I think this is the better place to actually put it to rest, because there are a set of people that have the mindset and connotation that if something is working for you, if a robot is working for you or a strategy is working for you, then you don't need to sell it. Please follow me. I'm going to give some financial education on this, because until we understand this, Mr. Bond, we will keep asking the same question too. We will keep thinking it is wrong for people to sell.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media.
Yes, so click that follow button. Subscribe to this channel and follow us on all our social media handles.